YouTubers, how are you doing today? I hope everybody had a great Sunday, nice and relaxing. We did, had a long afternoon nap. I'm doing this video from home today, and I have an awesome story to share with y'all. It's one of my favorites that I love to talk about. It's when I ran away from a shelter. I was 15 years old. I was living in a shelter for teenagers that don't have a home, and mine was for my own doing. I was a very rebellious teenager, from everything to sneaking out of the house to doing things I shouldn't. So we're not going to talk about all that because I don't want anything to be held against me. So I was in the shelter, and I was dating a guy that had also left town, and he would call the shelter and pretend to be my brother. I was pretty good at being pretty sneaky. And so I would talk to him, and then he told me, or I had told him, that I was moving to possibly Tallahassee. I thought I was going to be adopted. Well, the family that I thought was going to adopt me in Tallahassee, I really didn't want to live with them at the time because I was the rebellious teenager, and they were going to make me do things that I felt that I didn't want to do. So I decided I was going to leave. So I packed my bags, and the shelter I was staying in, they sent us across to another building to have school, they call it, for 4 hours in the afternoon. But if you misbehave, they send you back to your room. And if you get in trouble, you're in your room for 24 hours. So I had packed my bags, all ready to go, and this girl decided she wanted to go with me. I don't even remember her name now. I knew she was from Phoenix City, but so we both got in trouble by just talking out in class or whatever, and got sent to our rooms for 24 hours. And whenever all of us teenagers are in school, the adults just hang out and chat. They don't really pay attention because they know they don't have to, because we're all supposed to be in school. So I knew all this because I'm very observant. I watch things going on around me. So I was ready, had my bags packed and ready to go. I got sent to my room from school, and as soon as I did, I made sure that nobody was watching, grabbed my bag, and I took off running, and it was right next to some woods. So it took them a little while before they realized I had left, and I ran and ran and ran and ran, and then I heard the alarm go off. So I knew, they realized I'm gone. So I ran as fast as I could, as far as I could, and I ran to my friend's house that I knew had a vehicle and could take me somewhere, which I knew I couldn't stay at her house because they knew she was my friend Renee. And so I went to her house. She says, "Angie, you can't stay here. They'll come looking for you here." I know. So we went riding around Auburn to see if we could find a place for me to stay. Well, we went to this pool hall, found somebody that knew my boyfriend at the time. Wasn't a big fan of him, but he was like, I said, "I just need a place to crash tonight." And so he had a spare bedroom, so he let me crash. But I had no blankets, no nothing. It was just a mattress. So I used all my clothes to cover up that night. I was freezing. This was in February. And so I made it through that night. The next day was what they call, I think it was called Engineering Day or Skip Day or whatever, where all the students at the high school could go to the university and check out different studies, different programs that they had at the university. So a lot of my friends, we all hung out and that day, and so anytime I saw a police officer, I would like bend down like I was picking something up off the ground, so that if they saw me, I don't know if they were looking for me or not, but I wanted to make sure that they didn't see me. So I made it through that day. That was a Friday. That night, my friend and her boyfriend and a whole bunch of my other friends were all camping out, way out in the woods. I think it was way out in Beulah, Alabama. And so we went out there. We camped out all night. This was now Friday night. Saturday night, her boyfriend's parents were out of town, so we stayed at his house. And Saturday that day, the girl that ran away with me, that I still don't remember her name, we took her to Phoenix City, dropped her off. I found out later that she got picked up a few days after that and went back to the shelter. And then Saturday night, stayed at my friend's boyfriend's house because his parents are out of town. I already said that, I know. And then Sunday, I'm real good at repeating myself, so because if I kind of get lost in my stories, I'll try and edit it out for y'all so you won't have to hear things over. I went Sunday, my friend's friend, we told her parents that my friend got in trouble and I wasn't allowed to stay with her, and my parents were out of town. So could I stay with them for the night? My parents would be back tomorrow. And they said, sure. So the last night that I had a place to stay, my boyfriend finally calls. And at this time, all we had were regular phones. There was no cell phones or anything like that. So he called my friend Vernay, and Vernay had three-way. That was a real cool thing back then. And Vernay called the girl's house that I was staying at and got us on three-way so that we could all communicate. So I told him that I'd ran away from the shelter and that, where are you? I asked him, where have you been? I've been trying to reach you all weekend. And he was like, well, I moved from where I was to Tallahassee because you told me you were coming to Tallahassee. I said, oh, great. So he said, but that's okay. I'll wire you a bus ticket tomorrow and you can just ride the bus down here. And I said, okay. So then last night I had a place to stay. He finally calls. He gets me a bus ticket. Supposedly the bus was supposed to leave at 7:45. Well, I get to the bus station. I'm sitting there waiting, panicking, and every time a cop drives by, I bend down like I'm looking in my purse, because I don't want him to see me sitting in the bus station. So Vernay gives me all these clothes and other bags to take with me. So I have like 6 bags going on the bus. But at first we thought the bus left at 7:45, but it didn't. It didn't leave till 10:45. I was panicking. I kept thinking they're gonna find me before I even get on the bus. But I didn't. I got on the bus, rode it all the way to Tallahassee, from Auburn to, actually Opelika to Tallahassee. I go to get off of the bus in Tallahassee, and there is a cop car sitting at the end of the terminal with 2 cops sitting in it. And I thought, I made it this far, now they're gonna take me back. What am I gonna do? Oh my gosh. So I get off the bus and I gather all my things together, and I run into where my boyfriend is at the time, and he was like, let's get out of here, because I don't know if they're looking for you, if they're looking for somebody else. And so we go out of the bus station, out the other door, and we go next door to this, it's now no longer open, but at the time it was the Round Holiday Inn, and call a taxi to take us to the apartment that he has. So we go to the apartment. His mom had just come down and bought him groceries for the week, so we were okay for a little while. Well, after a few days, the food started running out, money started running out. So I decided I was going to sell Avon. I contacted a lady. She came over to our apartment and she gave me everything, and I went door to door and I was selling Avon. Well, while I was doing that, I went by a laundromat that had a help wanted sign out. And so I went in and I said, would you happen to be hiring? Right? I saw your help wanted sign. And she said, oh yes, we are. Well, at that time, when you had to show your license and your ID and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't where they could just run it right away. So when she said, do you have that information? I said, no, I actually just left Alabama and I left everything there, but I'll get my mother to mail it to me. And, okay, no problem. Just whenever it comes in, you bring it in and we'll, get it taken care of. Well, I worked there for a while, but while I was working there, it took a little while for me to get a paycheck, and I was working under a fake name and a fake social so that, they wouldn't find me, because I knew if I stayed under my name and social that they would eventually find me, because they did have me on FDLE, missing children, and You know, everybody with state of Alabama was looking for me because I was custody of the state of Alabama. So Florida Highway Patrol would bring their uniforms in because we gave them a discount. The first time one came in, I almost had a heart attack. Scared the daylights out of me. I thought, oh, and I was training at the time with the lady that hired me. And I was like, I had to stay calm because I couldn't look like I was upset. And so came in, he dropped off his uniforms, I filled out the paperwork and everything, and I was watching her, and he said, he left, sorry, he didn't say anything, he left, and I was like, oh wow. She says, well, they bring in their uniforms and we do them for $1 a piece, so that's why they bring them in here. And I said, oh, okay. So I started working there, and I worked under a fake name. My fake name was Rachel Dahl. Yes, I know, wasn't it cute? It was a name that we used around town whenever we wanted to do stuff and not get in trouble for it. So I worked at the laundromat, and to get my first paycheck and get paid and cash my check, I'll continue that in the next story. So, to everybody, I hope you have a great Sunday evening, and I will tell you the rest of my runaway story when the next time I return. Love to you all. Subscribe, Instagram, Bright RV Dreamy, and Twitter and all that good stuff, Facebook. Love you. Bye.